Hey, my name is Jesse. I work with Humble Crew Detailing. Going on my 8th year now. Humble Crew wasn't always a thing, so in the early stages, it was just a little shop in a garage. Can't even really call it a shop. It was just like a side hobby. But now we got a full-blown shop with staff. In the Twin Cities, we have a lot of competition, and a lot of them are very, very respectable shops, and I admire a lot of their work. What we do really well is, one, exceptional customer service. So clients, usually when they're calling me or texting me, I respond really quickly. And so generally, they never really have to wait for a response. We're really good before the service, during the service, and also after the service. And so if they're asking, hey, Jesse, how do we take care of my car? What chemicals do we buy, etc.? We're really good at walking them through that process the way we do it. Or if they don't want to do it, then just want to have us do it, we take care of them that way as well. We also operate at a very high standard, and so a lot of times my technicians, when I'm training them in, I'm very, very strict with them. And so they learn really quickly that if it's not done up to standard, then I make them redo it, right? And so I have a saying where industry standard is not our standard, right? And so we like to operate on that level. I've been doing this for so long. After a certain amount of time, you get a preference on what you like and the way it works and how efficient it is, both on a business level and on a personal level. So for example, even with I think the easiest one to talk about is like what ceramic coating do we use, right? And so I personally have tested over a dozen different brands, and each brand is pretty decent at some things. But the brand that we ended up installing is just really good here in Minnesota against salt, and I found that that's what our climate needs is a salt-resistant coating, as opposed to necessarily like the glossiest coating or maybe the hardest coating. Those are great, but like I said, we deal with salt. So when I get to deliver the cars, clients, when they come into our shop and they see 20, 25 hours of labor on their car, when they see it in the shop and they're blown away and they're like, oh my gosh, they're taking photos for Instagram or whatever. That's my favorite part. Oh yeah, this was actually really recent. It was a green, it's one of my best clients, but he has a green Bentley Continental. So I've always liked Bentley Continentals. I've always thought they were super handsome. But this particular one was a super dark green, really gorgeous color. I think it was like a 2022, and it was just one of the most exquisite paints that I've ever had to work on. Turned out just exceptional. Man, I love that car. And he let me drive it. So he was like, hey, can you drop it off? And I'm like, sure. So I got to drive it too, and I was like, man, what an experience. Euro. I feel like European cars just have a far better fit and finish. Depending on the car, it is very specific, but depending on the car, I feel like they have a lot of character. Not saying JDM cars or American cars don't have character, because I've had both of those too, and they're fantastic, but my heart is with the European cars. Porsche specifically, I love those. Rear-wheel drive all day. The turn-in response is better, and it's just a more predictable experience, especially if you like to drive hard. If you want to misbehave, the tail end will kick out if you want it to. But when you're turning in mid-corner, depending on the car, obviously, but generally speaking, it's a lot more predictable to just kind of figure out. Ferrari, because I have to choose. I'm not an exotic guy, so cars like this Lambo, I don't know if you can see it off camera, but I'm not an exotic kind of guy. They've all just kind of been too flashy for me. However, if I had to choose, probably like a Ferrari 458. Really like that car. Evo. Yeah, sorry, but WRXs are a little too common for me. Evos actually have some kind of, I mean? I feel like they're more special. Both cars are not cars I would personally buy. My wife has specifically said that I look too old for an Evo 10, so it is what it is. Mustang, only because I almost bought one. Almost bought a GT350. It was a 2016 when they came out, and that with a flat plane crank was just one of the most amazing cars that I've ever driven. And it has an engine that you can only experience in very few cars. So a flat plane crank V8 only comes in that GT350, the Ferrari 458 we just talked about, and the new Corvette Z06 are the only flat plane crank V8s, and that is an experience that only very specific cars have. So for that reason alone, I would do the Mustang. You know, me and my brothers, we actually prefer track driving, so just based on that, I'd probably do the F1. Rally is friggin' dope, and it's exceptionally dangerous and exciting, and all that stuff is cool, but I really like driver technique and that kind of stuff, so probably F1.